Hello, welcome back to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. Evil makes a comeback and jumps into the deep end. This is Demon Season, and Evil Season 3 Episode 1 didn't hold back when it came to metaphysical and personal monsters. If the premiere sets the tone for the rest of the season, we're in for a treat. Let's start with the obvious. What happened to David and Kristen after the Evil Season 2 Episode 13 credits rolled? It turns out that it varies depending on who you question. Kristen had hoped to be cleansed of her misdeeds, notably the murder of LaRue, and she got it. Katja Herbers was incredible, practically lifting the weight of what she'd done from Kristen's shoulders as she cried into David's shoulder. It's no wonder that they both lost themselves in that moment, given the toll that load had put on her and how she and David had danced around the blazing heat between them. It was yet another blunder for Kristen, and one she didn't want to repeat. Kristen went away after David prevented them from doing what appeared inevitable. However, David's demons are considerably more powerful. He hasn't been carrying the type of secret Kristen did, and the prospect of a future without sex has allowed demons to assault. The battle was genuine, but the strength was so overwhelming that David gave in. Even if Kristen refused to admit what had happened, the devil had Kristen covered. David was still apprehensive when they finally discussed it. He had to assume Kristen was exaggerating about what had occurred. After all, she had promised him that they would never discuss it again. His demon Kristen was much more blatant the second time, with filthy language and an actually forked tongue. Those scenes must have been a lot of fun for Mike Coulter and Katja Herbers. They were seductive and sensual without any emotional connection, which must be a lot simpler to film than the other way around. It was bizarre that, in the throes of love, David noticed Sister Gertrude enter his room, one eye fixed on him. Her name is familiar to me thanks to publicity materials, but have we seen her before? Is she a genuine nun or a ghost? It was difficult to tell, but that was not surprising at the time. David's demonic difficulties matched their most recent case, which involved weighing the human body before and after death in search of a soul. The study was upsetting, and the isolation necessary for the experiment was nearly inhuman at a moment when you needed comfort the most. But David's last theory was incredible. What if the weight loss is due to the loss of one's demons rather than their soul, and what if that demon may then transfer into another upon death? Ignatius' personality altered after 56 seconds of death, 24 grams of weight loss, and rebirth. For the first time in decades, according to David's theory, Ignatius was free to be himself. The fact that the devil was working against Ignatius' love for Matt, aka Monsignor, was also suitable. While some would believe that his sentiments for Monsignor were dark, Evil's path revealed the exact opposite, and it succeeded. Instead, the demon in question was cancer, and there's no greater metaphor for cancer than a monster devouring your body. Exorcism involves the use of chemo and radiation, both of which have a similar success rate. Another scenario involving demons was prompted by Andy's reappearance and insistence that Cheryl pack her belongings, prompting yet another scenario involving demons. Andy has never been without affection. The father should have put in more effort to get a job closer to home so that he could assist Kristen in raising her 5 kids. Kristen, on the other hand, has forgiven Cheryl much too much in exchange for a free babysitter. The potential for a conflict of interest between Kristen, Cheryl, and Leland should have been enough to convince her to fire Cheryl. Andy didn't doubt whether he was seeing things when he saw a devil on Cheryl's bed. He didn't seem to mind. Why should you take a chance? Jack, it on the way. Andy discovered her shrunken mentor's head under the bed, and Cheryl is fighting back with all of her strength. It was a little sad that Andy didn't appear to notice Cheryl's threat to turn the game on, but perhaps that's because the girls are such a continuous distraction. If things between him and Kristen start to go wrong, he'll undoubtedly look into what he flushed as a possible source. When it comes to the girls, Kristen and Andy have their hands full, but they're clever kids. Bumblebee Valley was representative of a plethora of honey traps on the internet that entice youngsters by imposing absurd age restrictions on the goods they sell. Another youngster may have succumbed to Leland's seduction, but Lexis, to her credit, turned the tables on him. When Lexis joined his world, Leland felt he had it all figured out, but his persistent speech about her mother alerted her to the fact that it was all a ruse, and Leland was to blame. When Leland was skulking about with Lexis at school, he was already on the hot seat from Evil Season 2. Kristen serving Leland with a restraining order was one of the greatest sequences in a fantastic debut. Herbers is truly a gem on this show, and she dominated the premiere. It's her world, and everyone else is living in it right now. Kristen's actions, as well as how she addressed the children about Leland as an urgent threat, were wise decisions, and her girls absorbed the information. Girls, like guys, are drawn to heroism, so they grabbed up their keyboards and went on the offensive against Leland, much like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. To someone like me, who lives alone, watching Kristen's house might feel like hell on earth. Leland's reply indicates that he won't disagree. Sister Andrea was keeping track of her pals as it all happened. That is, who believes and who does not believe in this situation. She's been interested in what's about to happen since she arrived, and she understands that in order to overcome the profound darkness, people must have faith. Of course, all of this is contingent on the religion versus science debate. Hearing her talk about the unfaithful being turned around at the pearly gates because they didn't believe was a little unsettling. Thanks for watching, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.